Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show.
That's how you know I'm back in New York, people. We got Keith. Keith is on the soundboard. Keith is live, and I'm technically not. But my name. Oh, here we go. Trigger warning. Spoiler alert. We're back in New York City. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show. Post Los Angeles edition. I have a guest who I will introduce in a minute. I just got back to New York. I am a mess. My New York Post horoscope says today, Tom, if you try, it didn't say Tom, by the way, it just said Gemini, but it said, Tom, if you try hard at anything today, you are going to fail at it. And I really wanted to do a podcast today. But now I have that voice. You're going to fail, Tom. Go back to the sofa. And I want to do a podcast with my friend, Andrea Fasano. What you need to know about her is she's one of those aspiring TV host people. She is a big shot TV producer. I just met her working at the $100,000 Pyramid, where she was the prize producer for the last couple of years. And I think most of my time dealing with her, she was wearing a mask. Andrea, were you wearing a mask most of the time I met you? Knew you?
Yeah. Yes. In New York. Yes. But
like, were you there the year before with no masks? No. I'm yes, you were. But you were in the basement a lot, and I wasn't allowed to deal with you. So 4, 5, 6.
Correct.
So we didn't really become friends until I was covering my face up. How about that for people? That's when she started talking to me. It was when my face was covered. So maybe she was just intimidated by my good looks, and or maybe she just found me so unattractive without the mask, she didn't feel like she could talk to me with the mask. Again, folks, as I like to joke, I am a pandemic 7. In the real world, I'm a 5, but you cover me up, I'm a 7. So back to the story. So I know none of this stuff about her for the 2 times I've worked with. And again, every time I work at one of these game shows, whether it be mostly America's Got Talent and the Pyramid, they do all these shows for long days, and I perform my ass off, and I come home a broken person. I've done 2 weeks in LA. I jammed in a couple of side trips, a lot of family time with my good friend, Paul, who I like to call my brother's best friend, who's like a little brother to me. But the job itself is exhausting. You know what, Andrea, through your eyes, first, what are your socials so people can follow you?
Okay. So I'm on Instagram at Andy Fasano. That's Andy with an I. And also Twitter, but I'm not on there much. You know, I'm on Facebook, but mostly hit me up on Instagram.
Okay, enough about you. Let's talk about me. As a prize producer, by the way, every time somebody wins money on the Pyramid, Andrea writes a check.
Right. It's from my own account. Out
of her own person. But that was my joke, which I've told 100 times that it makes me laugh and everybody else stares at me, that she has the checkbook in her back pocket. And every time somebody wins 100 grand, she just writes the check and sends them on their merry way. But you, as the prize producer, you track all the things they win. But what do you think of me? We really, America, your job's kind of boring once you get one. If you're not carrying the checkbook, it's really an accountant who does it. You just tell the accountant what to do.
Correct. And I mean, my job's more intricate prior to the show, but we don't have to get into that because
she has to embezzle the cash.
So
she's stealing the cash. Every time you click on a stray link with a Venmo thing, she's the one going into all the bank accounts to finance this operation.
Right.
She also deals with the cartel. That's how all those game show prize monies are financed. Pat Sajak. Well,
half of them were in Mexico. So
yeah, well, and there you go. And Pat Sajak, big drug dealer.
I think that you, like I said, we know that you didn't have much of an audience, and, you know, for you to have that energy, being a host and having done events, live events like that, and knowing that people are just watching you and listening to you all the time, and you need to keep that energy high, not just for them, you know, not for you, for them as well, for the contestants, for every different department, kind of, people are listening. I think it's an exhausting job, and to do what we did, which was 6 shows, 3 days in a row, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
So I feel for you as someone who's done it and someone who understands this business and that side of it. And I commend you. You did a good job.
And not to whine people, but I clapped so much, my hands have calluses and welts. Can you get a welt on your hand? I don't know. Welt is a funny word.
Yes.
I have a
you can
welt.
bruise your hand.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, look at that, people. If you're watching,
Oh God.
There's a welt, right? Andrea, we agree. Actually, do I call you Andy? Like, what's with this?
No. Call me Andrea. That's fine.
Andrea is so mysterious. So now let's get more into Andrea and why.
I love that you think that, because what we'll get into, like when I told someone else, I was like, now I have street cred with Tom Kelly, because he didn't know, but now he knows.
Well, I knew you did stuff. And honestly, so let me tell the story. And honestly, my respect for you didn't go up. My connection with you has gone up. I kind of respected you enough before. I did.
It was up there. Great.
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear.
But my sense of connection and I feel like I'm enjoying this coincidence more than the two people who are involved in the coincidence. So when you leave, and first I want to do some thank yous. If not that any of these people listen to the podcast, but I have, and I've been talking about this for 2 weeks. I have intense travel anxiety. I hate packing a bag. I hate going away from my stuff. I'm always afraid of losing things when I get there. I'm an organizational mess. Well, nobody knew, but everybody started to realize going into it, including my friend Paul loaned me his car. And I kept losing the key fob to the car, and I kept hitting this moment of being afraid that I'd have to call him to have a new key fob made for his car. We'd have to have the car towed back up to Calabasas or wherever the hell he was from. And I lost it once in a different pair of pants. And the thing wouldn't fit on my keychain. The key fob was too big for my keychain,
too bulky,
and too small for the other part of my keychain. So it was like right in this like twilight zone of a thing where you could only hold the damn key fob. That's why I've never bought an Infinity and never will. Right there, bulky key fobs. So, and then the second time, I did hotel laundry. Did you wash your clothes in the 2 weeks you were there?
No, I packed enough. I actually had more outfits ready to go. So but I was 2 pounds over coming here, and they just let me slide.
I was, but just for seating. I was 2 pounds over for seating. So my bags were fine, but I was 2 pounds.
No, but a lot of people did. 2 weeks is a long time. So
I did laundry because I essentially wear a uniform of black T-shirts and blue jeans.
Right.
When I'm in the studio. Now, I go to wash my clothes. I see our friend Jesse from Long Beach, and we have a moment. I used the hotel detergent, by the way, which is why I think I've been itchy for the last 5 days.
Oh, no.
Our friend Zach gave me a Tide Pod, but I ate it. And anyway. I think
that's why he gave it to you.
I'm like, ooh, what is this candy? Arr. No, and by the way, kids, if there's anybody young enough to think about eating a Tide Pod after that joke, don't. Even though Andrea does. Now, back to me. I now wash my jeans. I wash my stuff, bring the laundry up. I'm about to collapse. It's one of them 6-show days. And thank God somebody we knew wound up using the laundry machine right after me. Jorge found the key fob. I washed the key fob. It fell out, was in the laundry machine still. Jesse, who, by the way, watched his clothes for the whole 30 minutes they were in the washer, whereas I trusted America not to steal my underwear. Anyway, that's also a level of trust when you're washing your undergarments near your coworkers.
Yeah. Oh, you're on a different level. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. You're just on a different level. Like it's kind of like I don't want to be this close with anybody. Yeah, that's except for the laundry lady down on 75th Street. Now, thank God Jorge found a key fob and said, "Ooh, this is someone's car." And Jesse said, "I think that's Tom Kelly's." Oh my gosh. Luckily the key fob still worked. I have not told my buddy who I borrowed the car from that I washed the key fob. That's so nice of them though to lend you a car. Wow. Yes, it is. And it's also a car he's fixing up, and I found 10 things wrong with the car for him. So there you go. You were the guinea pig. I was the guinea pig. Luckily the brakes worked. Anyway, big ending to the story is I'm a mess and I'm itchy. And and then it was just nice to bond. And the long shout out is it was nice to stay at a hotel with other coworkers, including you, Jim.
Zach, Jesse, who else? Jesse, Jim, Vinny, Jorge, and Kelly, Jermaine, and Michael, and Kelly, and there was no. By the way, you're actually looking to see if there was a Tito, Jermaine, and a Michael. You're too young to even appreciate a good Jackson's joke. All right, so now you bond with all these people, and on the way out of town, I saw Andrea and Kelly, and I just wanted to spend like more time with you guys.
And can I just tell you, I'm just going to chime in right here.
Yeah.
I think one of the cool things was that most of us were Long Islanders, not just New Yorkers, but we all actually were born and raised on Long Island in some capacity. And so all of us now relocating, having worked together a few times, whether it's the 3 to 6 show, seasons of Pyramid, or other shows, like Kelly and I have been on another show. I'm not sure if I've even seen you on another show, but either way, and then instead of just passing by on set, like you're saying, and say, hi, bye. Oh, hi, Tom Kelly. Okay, nice. Hi, you're good? Great, thanks, bye. Like you said, we're now all come from the same place, but in LA, and just having like a time to chill, like a time to,
and get to
even though it was busy, but
level. Yeah, like I got 100%. To know. So getting to know you on a weird, deeper level, because honestly, I don't know you at all. Okay.
Right.
So I feel like I'm going to go see Christian Blatt, who everybody here on this show has heard before. And Blatt wants me on his podcast, which I've done a million times before. And I'm like, God, I'm giving up a new experience for an old experience. And, but I'm honoring my commitments. I leave you guys for Christian Blatt. And I blurt out somewhere in the middle of the podcast, the Nick Cannon Show, and that I knew somebody who worked there.
And I had no idea where you were going to do this podcast.
No, very important detail.
That we were just sitting at breakfast and you said, I got to go do a friend's podcast. And why would I think anything?
Why would you think? And especially when you consider the Blatt cast, though it seems to have a bunch of listeners all spread out around the country, including people who listened to Christian on AfterBuzz TV. But that's a side story. I am now in the middle of this podcast. He says Nick Cannon, and he's like, I knew a woman who worked there. And I'm like, who? And he goes, Andrea Fasano. And I'm like, holy cow, I just ditched her at breakfast to come here. If I knew you were going to talk about this, I would have.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I almost invited you to lunch, except you wouldn't have known the other guys there, and that was really a trip down memory lane. But holy cow! I mean, and I'm like, in the middle of a live podcast, boom, happy ending.
And even crazier, at breakfast, we were talking about time and place, and doing right by yourself and having faith in whatever you're doing. And you're like, okay, I gotta go do this podcast. And then look, it's a whole other world of connection that you went into.
And the last couple of weeks of the podcast, I've been putting on random people. Like I put on I'm trying to get life advice from random people, and I'm trying to grow from random people. And you hosted a podcast on AfterBuzz TV with Christian. Is that where you guys bonded?
Yeah, we again, just being from New York, we both did AfterBuzz for different shows. And then, if anyone doesn't know, AfterBuzz TV is a place where a bunch of hosts and people who want to be on camera talk about their favorite TV shows or movies or just anything. And so it's sponsored by Maria Menounos and her whole camp. And that's how Christian and I met. And then we bonded. And then he said, hey, I'm going to do a Mets one, and you're sporty and you're athletic and you like sports. And I was like, and you're from New York. And I was like, yes, I'm in.
Wait, and you like disappointment with your Mets podcast.
Right. And the funny thing is, he knew I'm like a born and bred Yankees family, but I have always had a soft spot for the Mets. Like I've always liked them, but being in LA, it's so hard to keep up with what's going on, with other teams like far, far away. And I just wasn't keeping up with it, but doing the podcast obviously threw me into it, and I loved it. I enjoyed it so much.
But to be honest with you, Andrea, that's the secret to being a Mets fan.
Yeah, right.
Not keeping up with it.
Not keeping up.
Just let it go. Let it go and just wear the hat.
You can't hold too tightly.
Next one. Are your bowels feeling bad? I find I got a lot of indigestion since the last day of taping. How you poop?
Really?
You pooping funny?
I can't believe you're asking me that because I'm actually very transparent about that stuff. And let's just say this morning was a little bit of an issue. And I was like, why is that? Was it the spinach or the coffee or the traveling? I'm not sure.
It's funny. We'll probably cut the last minute of you pooping out of the show. But then again, or maybe
Great, I hope so.
We might appeal to a special fetish audience. Tom, you will fail at everything you try today.
Hey, I want to comment on that. Don't you dare, because what do they say? Half of the challenge is showing up. And you, my friend, showed up, and so did I. So I also deserve,
to the point of you and the bowels and my stomach and how I'm feeling lately. I deserve a day off too. Like
I agree with you, but I can tell you, as someone who it's a challenge for me to show up sometimes for myself. I am so commending you because it isn't easy, and like you were saying, like me getting ready and stuff. Like it's taken a lot for me to just not be so focused on certain things and just, yes, let's do it. Like just say yes, that kind of thing.
Yes. So along the line,
you'll rest after this. You'll go nap after this.
Yeah, I'm going to go nap after this. And I got this recorded and I want to get ahead on the podcast because
there you go.
Because yesterday's podcast, I just interviewed a guy at the airport Sky Lounge.
Stop it.
It was actually a really good show, I think. But
funny.
I just found a guy in the Sky Lounge, had a conversation with him.
Dude, but even that is amazing. Like, that's so great of you to just do it.
Well, talk about just doing it. I want to give you a thank you. So I decided on, let's make it was Saturday night. I was going to go hang out at some of the really good comedy clubs in LA, and I did not do that, in part because I'm afraid of rejection. In part because I had one person who was going to connect me with somebody, but I was having trouble connecting with her at the right time. Mm-hmm. And third, because I was exhausted from the work. And I was Saturday night, I was going to go hang out at a comedy club, but decided to have a human connection with Andrea and Jesse and my friend Zach and Kelly and whoever else, and Jesse. I have to say Jesse twice if I have two friends.
There are two Jessies, guys.
Can I? Okay, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to only say it once now. I feel like you people know Jesse's. I'm going to streamline the show. So I go out with Kelly and Andrea and Zach and Jesse's, and Zach starts saying, "Hey man, why don't you go do comedy tonight and we'll all come?" I'm like, I don't want to go do comedy tonight. No, like, oh, no, you should go do it, Tom. Go do it. So I'm like, you know what? Why am I hanging out with these people? I'll see them again tomorrow. So I went down the block to the haha room where there's a very nice woman named Terry who had put me up on a Wednesday night a week earlier. And I asked her if she had any extra spots. She said no. And then I go down the block to the Comedy Chateau. And I asked the owner, Felix, could he put me up? And he says, well, I have a new talent night. Do you want to be a part of that? I'm like, yeah, well, I have 5 friends who would love to come see me perform. And he said, you have 5 friends. I'll put you on for a big chunk of time. Come on in. So I text you guys to come, and I warn you guys. I actually warned you guys on the street. I have a feeling this will be the worst show of your lives. I said this, it's a new talent night. But there's something wrong with a club where if I show up on a Saturday night, I didn't even drop my credentials, by the way, at least with the last club, the haha room, I had to say, Good Morning America, View, and $100,000 pyramid. I am now at this Comedy Chateau, and all I said was, I have a pulse.
Yeah.
Okay. And he did not ask me any questions whatsoever. And the interesting thing about this comedy club, this guy made national headlines because he declared himself a pastor and then started calling his comedy club a church when everything was closed during the pandemic so he could have people.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Or, oh, yes, depending on your political views. Anyway, I now tell this guy, do you want to put me up? He says, sure. Bring your 5 friends in. They rearranged the seats, so there's 5 more seats, okay? I now see you guys on the street corner. I'm like, guys, this is going to be an awful show. Are you sure you want to do it, right? Did I say something along those lines? I did that,
You
right?
absolutely, you warned us. You
okay,
did.
hang on.
And it wasn't my first time at a comedy show, so I know what comedy in LA is like.
You're an entertainer. Christian Blatt's giving you a lot of references. You're fine. I know what you are now. I have. So anyway, I bring you guys in and I leave you alone for a few minutes. The first act goes on. I go in for a second to watch some of the show, and Zach's like, Tom, how much longer is this show? I'm like,
oh, God.
The first act, Zach. I don't know how much longer I have. I'm like, I told you this outside. And then all 5 of my friends like, Tom, we can't do this. Tom, we can't do this. We're going. I told you this outside. And then I just watched them all sneak out. The poor guy who Felix of the Comedy Chateau goes, where did your friends go? And to your credit, I think the waitress forgot to ask you for drinks.
Yes.
I think a lot of alcohol would have made that show a lot more bearable.
And we were trying. It wasn't for lack of trying. We were looking around. Kelly felt claustrophobic because she was shoved into that corner and she couldn't access anything. And we were just listening to I don't think you can describe them as jokes being told. We were listening to the stories that people were telling that were very.
That's very LA also. That's very LA too. They don't necessarily tell jokes. They ramble and hope you find them attractive.
Yes, and I no. So,
and the way I describe the club, the room, imagine medieval times, but all the Kardashians are sitting in the front row. That's the room.
Oh my God.
It's a converted French restaurant. And to your credit now, literally while on the podcast, and I can't decide if I want to say yes to it, I've been invited out to LA for a non-paying comedy festival, June 12th to 18th.
Ooh, how do you feel about that?
Well, right now, all I feel is my stomach rumbling because I still have indigestion.
Oh my God.
You know, so we'll see. I guess America, you guys can decide. Should I go out to LA for free for 5 days at a comedy festival that has never happened before, at a comedy club that, what did you think of the club?
I think
pause is enough.
Quite well.
Quiet, long pause is enough. But on the other hand, somebody on God's green earth actually wants me. Oh, I have a whole Howie Mandel story, and then, but the podcast is too long. So there you go, people. I'm back in New York. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I'm okay with that. I hope you guys share the podcast, follow Andrea, whatever the hell is her Instagram. And that's it, people. And comment, share, show love where love can be shown, because I do feed off your energy. Oh, one last email at the end of the show, but I think the guy is not listening in real time. Scott Orbani. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm looking up the email quick. Oh, no. Scott Overby says, call me patriotic, if you will, but if really like to hear America the Beautiful, even though it may not be 60s gold, we need to start celebrating America. Thanks, Scott Overby. Oh, I know what he was talking about. That Thad, who was on yesterday's show, played the American anthem, the national anthem, at a Phoenix Suns game. Maybe that's what the hell he's talking about. I don't know. Okay. But Scott, I want you to know, even if there's no correct grammar in your emails, I will read them on the air. Good night, New York.